The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, Fall River teachers and the school committee continue their work on a new contract. The City Council votes not to support a ballot question seeking voters' input on a temporary tax increase to pay for a new diamond. And the United Way is seeking donation of school supplies to assist area schools. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, July 18th, 2024. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Members of the Fall River Educators Association this week rallied to express their concerns over the current negotiations of a new contract. Speaking before the school committee on Monday, Laterno school teacher Kristen Roussel argued this is the year the city makes an investment in teachers to bring pay up to a level of those in regional gateway cities.
Over half of the FREA membership has been teaching in Fall River for more than 12 years. We do that because we love our students. We stay because we are dedicated to their success. Over the past 10 years, the FREA negotiated what they believed were fair contracts, putting our students first rather than our own personal needs. Now, it is time to correct the pay discrepancies and pay our professionals what they deserve. Why is it that teachers in neighboring cities with similar demographics are compensated at a much higher rate than our Fall River teachers? On average, teachers with a bachelor's degree in New Bedford are paid $4,000 more, in Brockton, $9,000 more, and Taunton, $11,000 more.
Jennifer Resendiz teaches middle school math and verbalized the frustration of many long-term city teachers.
We asked for compensation to set up our rooms, 10 hours maximum. We all know it takes longer. You said no. You asked us to work for an extra hour every week for free. For free. Why? Because you've always done it for free. No more. No more. We want to be paid what we're worth. We have heard many, many, many times that we signed those previous contracts. Well, this time, we're not going to. If the other departments in Fall River can get pay increases, such as the police and the firefighters, so can we. We taught them. We don't want more than the other urban districts. We just want what's fair. We don't want a raise. We just want a correction.
The union and school department are still far apart on their offers. The union is looking for an increased pay of 9.3% in the first year and 10.4% in years 2 and 3, with steeper increases for teachers higher on the pay grid. The city's latest offer is for a 5% increase in year 1 and 3% hikes in year 2 and 3. FREA President Keith Michon says the union stands by its position for a large pay hike, especially in light of the school department receiving a boost in funding from the state.
I think there is a little bit of leeway in movement, but I think we also need to understand that over the last 5 years, per pupil expenditure has increased 47% in the district, while salaries have only increased 13% for our top step teachers. So there's a lot of additional funding in the city that that could be, reallocated to make a significant adjustment. The other thing that we got to consider is that over the next 3 years, with the Student Opportunity Act, we're going to see another 20+% increase for per pupil expenditures. So the funding is there. We believe that they can make a significant adjustment right now without impacting the community or our school system.
Mayor Paul Coogan, who chairs the school committee, says the teachers deserve a sizable raise, but not all at once.
All of those contracts for the numbers that the teachers have now were signed by the teachers union, and all of them were signed by the city. So those were agreements we had with them, which has put us at this base. Do I, as someone that worked in education under those contracts for a long time, know that Fall River people are historically paid less than a lot of our neighboring communities? Absolutely. Would I wish we could click our fingers and give them every penny they want? That might be a way to go. But at the same time, I know that our offer, we talked about it again the other night, is substantial, is fair, and incorporates some of the other things they're looking for.
The next bargaining session is set for August 14th. The mayor has asked union leaders to meet more frequently to ensure a deal is struck before the beginning of the school year.
But stringing this out to the beginning of the next school year is not the way to go. I believe the members of the union want to know that they have a deal, want to know that they're negotiating with the city is there at the table, and the negotiating team for the union is there, and we have to move this along. I think it's important. I have no interest, zero, zilch, none, of having kids out of school when they belong in school, and that's what I'm hoping. It never comes to that. We've already been through that with COVID. I know how that wreaks havoc with families, with the city, with emotional and health of our students, and I'm not interested in that a lick. I'm hoping that they can keep sitting down, keep talking, and come up with a proposal that's fair to the union and fair to the city. I do not believe that we can correct all the ills of the last 30 years of teacher contracts in one, but I do believe we can take a significant step in helping.
Mr. Michon says there has been no talk of union action if a new contract is not settled by opening day.
It's definitely not a healthy environment to go into the school year without a contract. We do plan to return to school, the first day of school, and but we hope to have a contract when we do that. What is going to happen, what could happen, is the bargaining team is going to continue to bargain, and then our members are going to continue to educate each other and educate the community and the committee and the administration on the issues and what we really need to reach an agreement. I'm an optimistic person, so I really believe that we can get a deal done before the end of the year. Each meeting I go into, I expect to make progress and that we'll reach a common understanding on all of our issues. We do have a lot of open issues that we're actively working to resolve, but I'm hopeful that we can get to a tentative agreement with the 2 meetings that we have scheduled.
Mr. Michon says for many rank and file members, their affection for their jobs and Fall River conflicts with making ends meet.
I don't like to speak in absolutes and say all of my members love the community, all of my members love the students, but they do. I mean, a very large majority of them do love the community, they love the students, and that's the reason why they're here. You build relationships. I know for myself personally, I grew up in the area, not in Fall River, but in the area, and I'm familiar with the community, and I enjoy this community my whole life. And then when I started working here, I built relationships with the people I worked with, and it's been outstanding. So it's very hard to leave that, but money talks. So it's a decision people have to make for themselves and their families.
The FREA is planning to hold a community meeting with parents next Tuesday, July 23rd at 5 p.m. at the Fall River Public Library to update them on the negotiations and answer questions. The Fall River School Committee this week, on a 6-3 vote, rejected a proposal by the Coogan administration to include a ballot question for this year's election seeking voter approval of a debt exclusion to temporarily raise taxes to pay for the city's share of constructing a new Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School. The administration argued that the ballot initiative would allow voters to decide how to offset the upwards of $7 million annually the city will need to pay for the new school. During the debate, City Councilor Michelle Dion argued the vote should have occurred 2 years ago when the council voted to move forward with the project and before construction began. She said taxpayers are strapped with annual increases and the debt exclusion for the new BMC Durfee High School.
I've spoken with many taxpayers, individuals, and at neighborhood meetings. And there's only one thing that I've been told so far. I don't want to pay any more taxes. I can't take any more money out of my pocket. People's taxes, this particular, we just got our preliminary bills. Quarterly taxes have gone up anywhere from $45 a quarter to $400 a quarter. So that's on top of the tax bill from last year. Then put Durfee on top of that. On a $300,000 house, I don't know what the formula is, but I have to think that's at least $50 a quarter. Diamond on a $300,000 home is going to be another $50 a quarter. Diamond, no matter how this council votes tonight, no matter how the citizens and the voters would vote if it goes to a vote, whether they vote yes or no, whether we vote yes or no, exactly, the school is going to be built.
City Administrator Seth Aiken said without the debt exclusion, the city's financial team would need to get creative in raising revenues and cut costs to meet the Diamond assessment.
Start with stabilization, and then we'll do zeros on CBAs, we'll freeze spending. We'll probably lobby for a trash fee because free trash is crazy. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. None of those are gonna get us all the way there, but if we do enough small things, it'll help. There's other things we're gonna do first, no question about it. There's 100 things I'll do first before I cut positions, because these are people's livelihoods.
Mayor Paul Coogan says the council's vote will make paying for Diamond tougher, and committing to a long-range funding plan now is difficult.
The way things work in city government is finances change. It's constantly in a state of flux. No one could have predicted what COVID did. No one could have predicted that the trash bags would go away and there would be no revenue there. Things change all the time. And I have no idea what's going on at Beacon Hill in regard to vocational funding or how they're going to let that play out over the next few years. This was simply a backup option. If some revenues increased substantially enough to help us offset that, that's what we would do. This vote last night was just the opportunity to give the voters a say. And I obviously, when the council voted for Diamond, I guess it was back in 22, they chose to go with the money coming directly from the budget. That's their call. It was their call last night. We respect it, and we go forward.
The Diocese of Fall River has been vigilant in investigating allegations of child sexual abuse since cases involving clergy came to light late last century, and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops approved the Dallas Charter, which called for a, quote, safe environment for all children and youth participating in activities sponsored by the Church. Fall River Bishop Edgar Acuna expanded the diocese's efforts in 2018 by creating the Office of Safe Environment.
Bishop Acuna has been here since 2014. I think if you look at the last 10 years, the leaps and bounds of progress that has been made in this area is phenomenal. He's a very collaborative bishop, so like I said, we have those bi-weekly meetings because he wants to stay up to date on these issues, and he listens to the lay leadership that he's hired that have expertise, and we make decisions collaboratively. So yes, he's very engaged around this topic.
Director Carolyn Shipp says the goal of the Office of Safe Environment is to create a culture of protection across the diocese with a focus on prevention and response. Part of the prevention piece revolves around screening those who minister, work, or volunteer within the diocese.
We have a process that we call the Essential 3. So that means criminal background check, safe environment training, and agreeing to a code of conduct. Those are the three things that we ask all who minister, work, and volunteer in the diocese to do. In 2020, we updated our policies and expanded that mandate so that it's not just those who work directly with children, but it's all who minister in any capacity in the diocese. So if you're a lector at Mass, we still want you to do this process. And that's really part of our goal of creating that culture of protection. Because everybody interacts with children in their lives in some capacity, even if it's not in their ministry in the church, and we think this is really important information for people to have, recognizing the signs of abuse and being able to respond to them. So that was part of the reason we expanded that mandate.
Training is also available to children who receive services from the diocese.
We have a curriculum called Circle of Grace that it was developed by the Archdiocese of Omaha, and it's updated every 5 years. And that's the curriculum that we use here in the Diocese of Fall River to educate all of our students who are enrolled in faith formation programs, as well as those who are in our Catholic schools. And that program teaches children how to understand physical, spiritual, emotional boundaries, and what their safe space should be, and how to respond if someone violates those boundaries, how to tell a trusted adult. And that's taught to those students every year. So that's a big piece of our prevention as well. And then I do a lot of training and consultation with our schools and with our parishes on mandatory reporting and responding to boundary violations and things like that.
Ms. Shipp says her office handles concerns across the diocese of interpersonal incidents that may not rise to the level of a formal investigation. But all allegations of sexual abuse received by the diocese must be reported for a formal review by law enforcement or organizational authorities.
We would report to the district attorney's office. If they move forward with an investigation, we're not going to do anything internally while they're doing an investigation. But the caveat to that is, if we're talking about an allegation against someone who is currently in ministry and we receive an allegation, if law enforcement is investigating, certainly we would be letting the bishop know so that he can take action to put that cleric on leave. We do not want to interfere with any law enforcement investigation. So, we will wait until that process is concluded before we'll begin any internal process. That we're not in control of that timeline, but we wait for that to conclude, and then when it does, then we begin an internal investigation. Because you're right, the civil authorities may be bound by statute of limitations, but we are not. Canon law has some limitations, but in terms of actions that the bishop can take with his governance, if he believes that someone needs to be not in ministry at this time, he certainly is able to make that move.
The diocese retains an internal investigator and utilizes a ministerial review board of lay individuals who are not employed by the diocese. It examines the evidence of any internal investigation and makes recommendations of disciplinary action to the bishop, who will render a final decision. Ms. Shipp says there is more work to be done by her office to ensure all within the diocese are protected.
There's going to be mixed reviews out there. Some people think that, we ask too much. Why do, if I'm just a lector at Mass, why do I have to go through this training and a background check? Of course there's that. But I would say for the most part, I think people, they know where the church was and where we are now are two very different places, and they're very grateful for that. There were so many mistakes and failures of the past, and we're just not going to let that happen anymore. We can't. We need to keep kids safe. We need to keep everyone safe. So I think most people understand that this is important, and I do think that people, especially kids, I think they feel supported to come forward, because we do get reports of things that are those low, I don't want to say low level, but boundary violations, things that are not rising to the level of the abuse, but we can intervene right away, and I think that's different because they know that someone's going to listen. And so I do think we're in a much better place.
The Office of Safe Environment is currently investigating allegations of sexual misconduct against Reverend Jay Mello, who was placed on administrative leave late last month as pastor of St. Michael and St. Joseph's churches. We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Funeral Director, Embalmer Apprentice, Waring Sullivan Home of Memorial Tribute at Cherry Place, located at 178 Winter Street, is seeking a full-time funeral director, embalmer apprentice, to provide customer service in all areas of funeral arrangements. Job number 211-03913. Bilingual customer service specialist. Sherwin-Williams, located at 555 Pleasant Street, is looking for a full-time bilingual customer service specialist, responsible for providing quality customer support in Spanish and manage customer inquiries and complaints. Job number 210-989-19. Senior Contracts Administrator, Innovative Defense Technologies, located at 99 South Main Street, seeks a full-time Senior Contracts Administrator to provide contractual guidance to business team members for their contract portfolio. Job number 211-02433. Office Assistant, Gold Medal Bakery, located at 1397 Bay Street, is looking for a full-time office assistant. For more information, call 508-674-5766. Invigen Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, located at 927 Current Road, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Engineering Intern, job number 210-82641. Human Resource Intern, job number 210-82646. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.tcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. World Hepatitis Day is July 28th, and the Health First Family Care Center will be authoring messaging on the severity of the virus, as well as prevention methods and testing. Dr. Lynn Taylor of Health First says there are 5 variations of the virus, labeled A through E, and the holiday is a worldwide effort to promote awareness and research.
There are only 5 global health holidays, and World Hepatitis Day is one of them. And really, we work globally with partners all around the world to say, let's all come together, let's share best practices. The World Health Organization just recently updated their hepatitis B guidelines, and we share knowledge and collaborate so that everybody has access to the Hep B vaccine, the Hep A vaccine. We can work to develop a Hep C vaccine, and we can get people treated and cured of hepatitis C and diminish Hep A and E through vaccination.
Dr. Taylor says the virus often resides within our system without our knowledge until we exhibit symptoms. The most common and dangerous strains of the disease in the United States are hepatitis B and C, which can become chronic. Even though there are vaccines to combat the virus, the first step to prevention is to test to see if the virus exists within our system.
We have blood tests to detect all the forms of viral hepatitis, A, B, C, D, and E.
Okay.
And so you can get a blood test for hepatitis C. Do I have Hep C or not? Same for hepatitis B. A and E really different because people tend to present sick. We test people when they're sick. Everybody 18 and above should be tested once. And then anybody with ongoing risk factors for hepatitis C should be tested frequently. Some people we check every 3 months if they're ongoing risk factors. Some people every year. And B, again, everybody should, if you're tested and you're not infected, you should be vaccinated. For people who do decline, we recommend periodic retesting if there's ongoing risk.
Health First is recommending and welcoming residents, even those who are not patients of the clinic, to get tested to determine whether they are infected. The United Way is once again lending a hand to local schools and teachers by supporting its Teachers Closet initiative. This year's campaign shifts focus of support compared to years past.
The Teacher's Closet is in its 6th year and came about because we're really trying to lessen the burden on our educators from having to dig into their own pockets to buy school supplies to outfit their classrooms to make it successful for them and their students for the year. We realized that a lot of organizations throughout our community host these school supply drives, so we really wanted to complement those efforts rather than duplicate them. So we decided to switch up our approach and become more targeted so that it could be more impactful. So we're selecting a school in each of our service communities, and we'll pick 2 in two in Fall River. So that'll be 8 total. We picked these schools based off of DESI data and accountability metrics so that we were really targeting schools that could benefit the most from these supplies and from these Teachers Closet.
In Fall River, the United Way is supporting the Westall School and the Robert Medeiros Resiliency Prep Academy.
We're accepting donations at our office, and we have an Amazon wish list, and are also offering sponsorships where folks can adopt a school in their community for $1,000, and we'll purchase supplies that are focused on social emotional learning and manipulatives that help reinforce lessons. So we're looking for things like pattern blocks, geoboards, magnetic letters, and things that can help youth identify emotions and help with that sort of learning as well.
The United Way also accepts cash donations and hopes to extend their support beyond the first day of class.
We have an online fundraising page. We will accept direct donations so that we can purchase those school supplies for the schools that are selected. We're doing those collections through August 22nd. We're going to be collecting these items through the 22nd, but we're going to hold on to them and distribute them a little later in the year, since these schools are typically inundated with supplies at the beginning of the year, and then they'll go through them. So we want to really come in and support when those supplies are starting to dry up, and make sure that we're there to support the teachers throughout the year.
For more information on how to donate, you can visit the United Way's website, uwgfr.org. Again, the deadline to donate is August 22nd. We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Ladybug. Ladybug here is a domestic long hair. As you can see, she's very much a cuddle bug. She doesn't mind being held. So when she gets, used to your home and she's nice and comfortable, she'd probably make a very good companion while you're watching that nightly news or whatnot. You just want someone to hang out with. Kids would probably work out really fine too, as long as they're not too young, or at least that they, respect her boundaries. They're not jumping up and down on her, that sort of thing. She's very mild-mannered, so if it's a respectful child, I think she'll do just fine. Unfortunately, it was an owner surrender to us. Her previous owner was moving and she couldn't find a place that would allow pets. So she ended up having to give her up to us. Her loss, because she's a very nice cat and potentially your gain. But if you want to meet her, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Today we have Brutus. He is a 1-year-old French Bulldog mix. He was a stray, so we don't know too much of his background. He does know a few commands like sit with treats. He still has he's very high energy, so he is still in that puppy mode pretty much, but we do recommend him with someone who is active in the household, just so he can be taken on walks, possibly like run around the yard. He just needs a lot of exercise to kind of get that puppy energy out. We do also recommend him with, if you have any kids 12 and up. He loves to play. He does love all his toys usually. He does love treats as well, so he's usually very motivated by that, so you could really work with him a lot. So if you want to come down and meet Brutus, come visit Forever Paws. You can also fill out an application on our website, foreverpaws.com. We would love for you to meet him.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.